If you want a new iPhone with a big screen and long battery life, you have two options this year. First, the iPhone 16 Plus for $900, and then the iPhone 16 Pro Max for a whopping $1,200. And that's a $300 difference, so should you really splurge on a Pro Max? Or will the Plus be just good enough? Previously, the Plus model did not sell well for Apple as it was lacking important features, but this year both the 16 Plus and the Pro Max support the big new thing, Apple Intelligence. However, there are still two important advantages the Pro Max has, and one thing, the Plus actually gets better. So let's compare the two and see which is best for you. First, you might have seen that the Pro Max has a 6.9-inch screen, while the Plus has a 6.7-inch one. This is not a huge difference by any means, but you can see it, and here in the browser, the Pro Max fits one extra line of text. But I feel Apple could have done more with this. Like here, notice the big gap between the dock and the last row of icons on the Pro Max. You could fit another row of icons, and that would have been awesome, but unfortunately Apple did not do this. The Pro Max also has thinner borders around the screen, which looks very cool. It's not all that noticeable if you put the phone in a case, but it's a nice small detail. The 16 Plus, however, has a couple of advantages of its own. First, it weighs 14% less than the Pro Max, and I love this. You really notice this difference, and it makes it easier to carry around in your pocket. And the other thing is just the color. The Pro Max is only available in Apple's boring colors, the gray, the black, white and the bronze one, while the Plus gets all the fun colors. We have the gorgeous teal version, but the ultramarine blue one and the pink ones are also so fun and vibrant. Next up, you might think that the Pro Max has the better screen quality, but they're actually the same. Both get the same maximum brightness in our testing, and both can now get super dim at just 1 nit, which is just perfect for bedtime use. However, there is one thing that remains exclusive on the Pro Max, which I really miss on the 16 Plus. And for me, that feature alone is what truly separates the Pro Max from the Plus. And that, of course, is the ProMotion 120Hz screen on the Pro Max. The 16 Plus only runs at 60Hz, so scrolling looks choppy and not nearly as smooth as the Pro Max. I kind of get it. If the 16 Plus had ProMotion, far fewer people would ever buy the Pro Max. But it still sucks getting a new phone in 2024 that only runs at 60Hz. Now, speaking of performance, the 16 Plus makes a 2-generational leap in processors, getting the new A18 chip. The Pro Max gets a slightly faster version, the A18 Pro processor. And for just daily tasks, both of them feel very zippy and most importantly future-proof with that industry-leading performance. The only place where you could notice the faster speed on the Pro Max is in games. It has an extra GPU core and runs a bit faster. Both, however, now have the same 8 gigs of RAM, so for the most part, the upcoming new Apple Intelligence features will run at very similar speeds on both of them. Okay, let's get to the cameras. And this one is tricky because they are so similar yet different at the same time. And here's what I mean. If you look at photos from the main camera, the colors, the detail, everything mostly looks the same. Both phones have a 48 megapixel main camera. The Pro Max uses a much larger sensor, but most of the time you don't notice this. Occasionally you can spot better dynamics and less noise on pictures from the Pro Max, but that's it. Tricky. Now for the ultra-wide camera, the Plus sticks with the old 12 megapixel sensor, while the Pro Max gets a 48 megapixel new sensor, but at the same sensor size. So technically you do get some slight improvements on the Pro Max, but just not as huge as you might think. Here are a couple of images from that camera to see for yourself. Finally, there is one area where the Pro Max is clearly the winner: zooming. Now, if you want a phone that can zoom far, you need to go with the Pro Max. It has a 5x zoom camera and can go up to 25x maximum zoom, while the Plus does not have a dedicated zoom camera at all, and it can only go as far as 10x zoom digitally. But really, even at that level, the quality is quite bad. Now, probably my favorite new camera feature this year is audio mix. This one is great for creators. You can just set your phone somewhere outdoors and record yourself talking to it, and previously the mic would pick everything around you and your voice would be very hard to hear, so you needed a separate mic. It becomes a very complicated setup. With audio mix, you no longer need that. You can use one of the 3 new presets to cut off environmental noise and have your voice sound much cleaner. This is a super useful feature, and I'm happy that both the Plus and the Pro Max support it. Now, Apple claims the Pro Max has some special new mics, it calls them studio mics, that sound better, but I did not notice that much of a difference there. And for video recording quality, you have one new feature in the Pro Max: 4K 120. This is really cool, but I also have mixed feelings about it. First, because the file sizes are large, and second, I'm not sure this is really something many people will use all that often. Another feature that sounds cool on paper, but I personally don't care too much about, is ProRes video. You only get it on the Pro Max, and the main benefit is you get files without that artificial over sharpening that you usually get with regular recordings. But file sizes are absolutely enormous. You need to edit all of the footage in a special program, so it's a bit complicated. Alright, enough about photography. What about battery life? Now, both these phones have roughly 4700 mAh batteries, with a tiny difference in capacity between the two. And we ran 3 separate battery tests to see if there is an actual difference in battery life. And in our video streaming test, both lasted exactly the same at around 10 hours and a half, which is a solid score. However, on our web browsing test and on our 3D gaming test, the Pro Max scored 20 to 24% longer, which is a big difference. And based on those results, we estimate battery life of 8 hours and a half on the Pro Max and around 7 hours and a half on the Plus model. So with the Pro Max, you should get an extra hour of screen time. Charging speeds are the same on both, so no difference there. We measured around 27 watts maximum when charging with a wire, and if you buy the new MagSafe wireless charger, you can hit nearly 25 watt speeds with that. A full charge takes around 1 hour and 40 minutes on both with a cable, and you get nearly 60% charge back with a 30-minute top-up. So in summary, the 2 big advantages of the Pro Max are the ProMotion screen and the zoom camera. Photographers might also care about the Pro camera formats, but for most people, this is mostly it. And if you can deal with those shortcomings, the 16 Plus actually weighs less, which is nice, has the more fun colors, and allows you to save $300. So which one would you choose? Let me know in the comments, subscribe if you enjoyed watching this, and I'll catch you in the next one.